Today on the Messy Garage, we're going to talk about something that is unusually controversial. Hello and welcome back to the Messy Garage. I have yielded to the popular will and gone out and bought this Icon bit ratchet set. And it's funny how it gets a lot of flack from a lot of people who seem to not have used one. And I just got mine the other day, a couple weeks ago actually, and have already found it super useful. So it costs $45, which is not a small amount of money for sure. Has this nice, somewhat hard to open case, especially if I'm trying to use camera. So it's a locking flex head ratchet. So you can use the button here to adjust the angle. Super handy for getting into some tight spaces. So that's one thing that'll distinguish it from some of the stuff you'll see at the Walmart HyperTough and other really inexpensive solutions to a bit ratchet. It comes with a variety of screwdriver bits, and that's actually the first way I used it. I'll show you here in a second. It comes with an extension that not only makes it, you know, a longer ratchet, but also can go in, if you kind of know the little secret trick here, look for these little marks on the barrel. I don't know if those are coming in very well. See if I can focus. You can kind of see them. But anyway, you line them up with the hole. That allows you to go through here. Not only gives you, you know, a sort of an adjustable length ratchet, but also a T-handle, because the end also has a socket in it. And that was actually the first thing I used. I was putting together a jack, doing some work on my mom's car, and didn't realize I would need a screwdriver, Phillips head, to undo the cover. So anyway, that was a certainly first handiness for this guy. And of course, all these things go in the bit ratchet side as well. So if you're working with any kind of fastener like this, great, super easy. But the other thing I directly got it for was the ability to take sockets. So here, you know, it also comes with a 1/4 inch that now will take your, you know, standard sockets. And what was interesting for me was this actually didn't turn out to be quite shallow enough for what I was working on. So, you know, I got it after going through this little situation where I was really having to reach way out and get into a really narrow space. But once I got it and compared it to the space I had and the sockets I had, the sockets were kind of a weak spot. Now this is a 10mm SK, you know, compared to my 10mm Icon, which is actually slightly taller, and my 10mm Tecton, which is even taller than that. None of these were giving me kind of the access that I wanted. And it's a similar deal for 8 or 6. So I went out actually to O'Reilly's of all places and got their Power Torque, I think it is. Power Flex. I'm gonna have to actually look, I apologize, but the net of it is I'll put the link somewhere. This is their 10. Let's look at that against my shallowest 10 from SK. I mean, it's way shorter. And I did a bunch of measurements. I'll put those in as well. So, you know, if you're really looking for some pretty shallow access, you know, and compare it, I should say, with something like that, you can get a very shallow set of access. So the one thing I would say is my old Craftsman pass-through is actually even shallower than this. Now, it's obviously not nearly this versatile, and it's a much bigger set, and carrying this and this around, pretty straightforward. Actually, I have the 8mm also out there. Now, these actually have a hex at the bottom, just as a side note, that'll let you put it hypothetically on 11mm wrench around it. I would probably just use my pliers wrench or something if I was trying to get really the narrowest thing. But anyway, so as far as being versatile, I think this thing is terrific. Really do. Like having the bit slot at the end. I've seen people say it's just a great place to store something. So you could kind of carry one here, have one mounted here, and you're doing pretty well for a very light carry-on kind of scenario. I would just take, for me, the whole box. It comes with some Torx bits that are actually security Torx bits, as you can see up here in the top right. I can stop fighting this thing. So up here, some flat blade, some Phillips, some various hex heads. And these are nice bits. This thing is really heavy when you have everything in it. So they are not cheapy bits. And of course it's backed by the lifetime warranty that Icon has on pretty much all of their tools, hand tools anyway. So I'm pretty excited and happy with this. Now, if you compare this with Facom, I think, actually. Their set that's similar to this, very similar to this, does come with some bits, sockets, is like $95. There's a Wera kit that does include like a screwdriver handle, which I think you kind of already have covered in here, to be honest, and with less space. But a kit that includes a couple sockets, like 4 or 5, I think, that are $75 or so, depending on where you find it online. So at $45, despite all the detractors, saying it's really overpriced, I don't think so. For something as flexible as this, literally with the ratcheting, the adjustable head flex ratchet, obviously with the T-handle / extension and all the bits, I don't think there's anything quite like it for this money. It's very close, if not from the same supplier as the Facom set, and I think it's great. Now, just one last thing briefly to compare it to kind of other ratchet type functions. Like, this has been the shallowest king in my garage, this 1/4 inch from Snap-on, and this guy does really well actually, but with the extension handle plugged in here, and just the pure T narrowness and shallowness of this thing, this guy still wins out, if a little bit on access, and definitely for length. I've got an SK also that does very well as far as being very shallow and a very thin head. Actually, I think once you put the socket adapter on this, you really are talking about a pretty close comparison here with the socket. Let's get one of these guys out. So, you kind of see that, and then put the same thing on here. Pretty close. Maybe even a little shallower, actually, once the socket depth. So maybe finding something that doesn't waste some of the space in here would help that. The thing is, this guy is really short, and the flex head doesn't lock. And of course, no extension here. So even though, I already had some options here, I've got my Icon flex head, which is nice but thicker than this one. I actually prefer this one to this most of the time, but for tight access, that's been the king. So this guy will come in and compete with the Snap-on Roto for some things in some ways, but in general, I think it really is solving a different problem. So anyway, I'm really happy with it. I think for 45 bucks with a lifetime warranty, if you can overcome your, issues with Harbor Freight, which I think are really kind of antiquated. I think Harbor Freight, especially in their Icon line, is putting out some fantastic tools. They have a very easy warranty, lifetime. You walk in, you walk out, and that's a great thing to be able to do. So, although very honestly, I've never needed one with any of the Icon tools. I've been very lucky, I guess. I do use my tools. I got, 6 cars that I keep after a house, and I do use my tools quite a bit, and this is going to be a nice addition. So anyway, that's my quick review and thoughts on the Icon Bit Ratchet kit, and I hope you guys found that useful. And that's it from the Messy Garage. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and really appreciate you visiting today.